Good morning and welcome to the AM News with me, Mapisa CBD. Now, first story, many residents of the Upper West region who kept vigil to ensure that they're enumerated on Sunday night by census officials got disappointed later after the officials failed to turn up. Despite this, they hope the enumerators work efficiently to enable them count every person in the region to get the accurate figure to propel the region's development. Now, a total of 1,845 enumerators and 408 supervisors have been deployed in the region to do the exercise.
Hardly will a population and housing census end in the Upper West region without the usual arguments and polemics of the projected population figures of the region. Many are often of the opinion that the population figures always reported are not the true picture of the region and hence deprive the region of the required and needed development from a share of the national cake. Many people in the region are of the belief that they have never been counted. So, on census night, they were wide awake and kept vigil throughout the night, only to be disappointed.
No, it means we are not part of Ghana. I've not seen anybody in my house counting me or counting my family because I've not seen anybody. I've not seen anybody in my house.
Census night yesterday, where were you?
Yesterday I'm in the house.
You were in the house?
Yes, throughout. Yes, sir.
Did they come around?
There's nobody who come to my house yesterday.
Why didn't they come to your house?
Well, I don't know.
But were you prepared for them?
I'm preparing for them. I'm even preparing for them up to now. I've not seen anybody up to now.
I waited and waited patiently, yet I never saw anybody coming to me to say he's counting me.
They however hope they will be enumerated before the exercise ends.
I expect them to come and do the counting because we are also part of the citizen of the nation. We need to be counted.
All I can say is that those people that they put into the work, that they should do it. At least they should put more effort into it. If actually they are doing the work, they should always be start in the morning, early in the morning. At that time, by 7, 6:30, people are still in the house. But if you come there around 12, you don't see anybody. People are up to their work.
Meanwhile, Upper West Regional Minister Dr. Hafiz Bisani was enumerated Monday morning at his official residence located at Watsongo.
I'm urging the people of the Upper West region to make themselves available to be counted. It is important, and no one should take this exercise for granted. Most of the times, we estimate the population of the Upper West region. But with this exercise, we'll be able to get the accurate population of our region.
Upper West Region statistician Jeremiah Sixudere, who enumerated the regional minister and his household, stated that the enumerators and their supervisors are poised to do a diligent job and will come out figures that the people in the region will have little to dispute about.
So we are expecting our enumerators at least in a day to enumerate 10 households in a day, 10 in a minimum. But those that are very good and very quick can do a little more than 10. But we're expecting that at least in a day, each enumerator should enumerate 10 households.
The projected population for the Upper West region as of last year by the Ghana Statistical Service was pegged around 868,419. Most people in the Upper West region are disputing those figures. And so it is a hope of the people in the region that this population census getting ongoing will give the right picture of the region, which will catapult it for its development. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam.
Away from that, 6 people are now known to have died in last week's floods in Kumasi, with 1 child still missing. During a tour to assess the impact of the rains, Works and Housing Minister Francis Asset-Subuachi ordered the demolition of part of a story building under construction on a waterway at the Asafo market in Kumasi. Now, this comes after traders at the market issued a 7-day ultimatum to the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly to stop the construction of the building, which is part of the market. According to the traders, this is the first time they were witnessing flooding, blaming the private developer for blocking the drains. Nanaya Ojima was at the market and filed this report.
Bodies of the dead have been recovered in some drains at Abuabo, Sokoban, Anloga and Ushim. Mama Helen, a popular trader in dried fish, is a victim of the recent flood. She makes efforts to dry her fish under the early afternoon sun. This is the only means to salvage the fish from rotting away. Her fish stock, to survive the impending closure of the fishing season, are wet by flood water, incurring a loss.
It entered the box in which my fish is stored. I took a loan from the bank to buy fish, and now everything is rotting. We plead to the government to help us.
Mama Helen is not the only trader to be affected by the downpour on Thursday. Many other traders have lost goods, running into thousands of cedis to the flood.
Almost all of us were affected. Water has never destroyed our wares. But after the contractor destroyed the drains with their trucks, the place floods.
Following an inferno that swept through the market, part of the market was awarded to a private developer to reconstruct the affected parts. Movement of trucks in and out of the market resulted in the destruction of the drainage system. The private developer is working on another project in front of the market, which has affected the drains here. This has got some traders worried.
This is where the Subin River flows. It takes water from the whole market out. Now, it is filled with sand, so when it rains, the whole place floods.
Following extensive coverage of flood issues here at the Asafo Market, the Minister for Works and Housing, Francis Asensobuache, as part of his tour to the Ashanti region, Kumasi to be specific, visited the market. After seeing the works that is being done by the contractors on the waterway, he ordered a demolition of it. Now, behind me are some of the traders in the market taking it upon themselves to demolish the structure.
In a sense, it shouldn't have been built in the first place, but they said to err is human, to forgive divine. Yes, so we're grateful that it's been demolished.
For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
Sanitation in more than 250 schools of the Ashanti region has improved through Greater Kumasi Metropolitan Air, Water and Sanitation Project. The beneficiary schools under 8 metropolitan and municipal education directorates will have toilet facilities and improved water supply. Now, this came up during a 2-day workshop in Kumasi, and Kwesi Debra reports.
According to the UNICEF, no community in Ghana has achieved an open defecation-free status. Lack of access to toilet facilities has been fingered. Operation and maintenance of schools, water, sanitation and hygiene has been a challenge. The Ministry of Water and Resources has therefore launched a project dubbed Greater Kumasi Metropolitan Area Sanitation and Water Project. This follows the successful implementation of a similar project in Accra called the Greater Accra Metropolitan Area Water and Sanitation Project. The project will focus on provision of gender and disability-friendly school toilets as well as water and hygiene facilities. George Asiedu is a project coordinator.
So one constraint that we realized that the septic tank needs a lot of space to construct them. And in most of these peri-urban settings, the space is not available. And so if you focus on that facility, you will not be able to provide them. We have come up with a technology, which is the biodigester toilet technology, which applies almost all the features of a typical WC septic tank, but does not need the bigger septic tank itself. We use a digester, and this digester doesn't need a bigger space, just a 1 meter square. You can place it in a very small space. So this has come to the people have come to accept this, and we are promoting more of this biodigester toilet, at the same time educating users on the appropriate use of this toilet facility.
The World Bank has approved $155 million grant to support the government of Ghana's efforts to increase access to sanitation and water supply services. This is meant to boost the capacity of government agencies for sustainable planning and management of natural resources and bring improved sanitation and water supply to over 3.6 million people living in and around the Greater Accra metropolitan area. Harold Iseku is Senior Sanitation Specialist at the World Bank.
It's very important we have adequate facilities in place for them. Shows that at the time, about 5-6 years ago, that there were about over 10,000 schools without adequate water, sanitation and hygiene facilities in place. So,
Project Manager at the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, Charlotte Akwa J. Mafo, is optimistic 85% of teenage girls will be retained in schools following implementation of the project.
So in our framework, we have 85%. On our measuring framework to ensure that we have that retention of girls in school for the 4 years of this project implementation. We are looking at 85%. Yeah. Thank
you. Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Deborah.
Away from that, the Pangtang Government Hospital is on the verge of being shut down following a strike by the workers at the facility. Ahead of the strike, the workers hit the streets to demand immediate action over encroachment on the hospital's lands. Health Minister Kweka Juman-Menu had, at his appointment hearing, promised a compulsory acquisition of the encroached lands by government. But after months of no action, the hospital staff have abandoned their posts, threatening not to return until the matter is addressed. Manuel Kranting was at the demonstration. Here's his report.
Sounds of aggrieved health workers at the Pangtang Government Hospital who hit the streets today in protest of government's delay in fencing the facility, which is now exposing them to attacks from armed robbers and other criminals. They will not return to work until government facilitates the immediate erection of a wall to keep intruders out and prevent encroachment.
The last time the war was started, so we resumed work. And what happened? It stopped just when we resumed work. Now we are saying that until the wall is about 80% through, we are not coming back to our unsafe. We are saying that we are fleeing from our unsafe work environment. About a year ago, we wrote about this same issue about our unsafe work environment. It got to the climax when we picked up a bullet from the psychiatric OPD. We felt that it was enough. Our lives were at stake. We all have families, and we think that if our employer who owes us a duty to provide us a safe work environment cannot do that, then we can't stay in this unsafe environment anymore. Unfortunately, the patients have to bear the grant for the inactions of the Ministry of Health. As it stands, we are withdrawing completely from our unsafe work environment.
You're withdrawing your services completely?
If management cannot take care of their clients, they will have to discharge them. We as unions have made our decision, and we've written to all the necessary stakeholders to inform them.
Belong. They have to continue. It's been so many years they started this war, and it's still there. It's at stake. They should fix it now or lose our workers. The president must demarcate the Pangtang Hospital now. Yes. We are running away for our dear life from Langas. From Langas. And he must demarcate the Pangtang Hospital now. The Pangtang Hospital has documents.
The private people
how can they be encroaching? So we want our land back. Without the land, we are not working. Nobody is working. We are sitting down without working.
What does that mean for your patients?
The president should come and manage the patients. If he doesn't think of the safety of our staffs, and if he doesn't think of us, then he himself should come and manage the patient.
Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Menu had in his appointment hearing said government was to pursue a compulsory acquisition of encroached lands to be handed back to the hospital. But former assembly member for the area, Alhaji Baba, says it will be difficult to do that.
Now the individual who bought this land are claiming 2 billion, 2.5, 3 billion per plot. That's what they are telling government. That's how much they want to take. And government says government cannot raise that money.
As this tussle between the staff of the hospital and encroachers continue, patients are the worst affected.
If you are be the hospital say in case a chronic and the hospital on say call sky and the anything about so you are so spa and the manner on boy na the manner a chronic say say no on say some funny call Abokubi hospital on say say no home so mo man e duro no anything na ye di ba no
ti esra wa mu yie yesra mo ba yete me yale be machi me yale me call hospital obie ni ho ese minya de obemia ama me nti yesra.
The maternity block here at the Pantan Government Hospital, just like all the other wards, is now under lock and key. In a typical Monday, this place would have been inundated by patients and their family members seeking medical attention. But as it will be, just 2 hours after that demonstration and strike by the staff members of the hospital, the place is now a ghost town. Abandoned chairs, locked down, administration block, reception closed, and that's the picture. It waits to be seen how long this will continue here at the hospital. Reporting for JoyNews, my name is Manuel Quentin.
Medical Director at the Pantan Psychiatric Hospital, Dr. Frank Bunning, tells JoyNews is in a state of desperation after several attempts to address the issues of insecurity at the hospital yielded no result. He says not only does the issue affect the mental health of the patients in their custody, but the mental state of the health workers is also affected.
Didn't say give us this week, so don't worry about the bread for tomorrow. It gives you sufficient grace for today, and then tomorrow will sort itself out.
You're right. It doesn't say you give us this week our weekly bread. And there's that portion of scripture that talks about not being anxious about anything and not worrying about tomorrow, because tomorrow has its own cares. You know, I think that's one of our fundamental weaknesses. Corrie ten Boom, you know, she was back then in, I think, Auschwitz, the concentration camp, the German concentration camp. And she talks about how sometimes we are also bothered about tomorrow and what the future holds. And she says, never be afraid to commit an unknown future to a known God. Never be afraid to commit an unknown future to a known God. We know God, and we know that He has the future in the palm of His hand. So beautiful.
So all things are working together for me.
For our good.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah, we started with church. We were digging into the papers. But before we do so, yesterday I didn't have the opportunity of doing this. Congratulations to Accra Hearts-of-Oak. Phobia. Indeed, I must confess, on the day you proved, though the goal, I said, offside Accra Wombaudi, let me praise you. You proved to be masters on the day. Congratulations. It's been practically forever since Accra Hearts-of-Oak beat us in Accra. So you deserve all the plaudits. And I can only pray that you guys slip up in the rest of your matches and that you win the battle of beating us, but we win the war of lifting the trophy. So that is my diabolical prayer this morning. And it is, God willing, going to happen. the god of porcupines versus these rainbow people.
I thought you were for real until you talked about the goal and mentioned the offside stuff.
Oh yeah, but we all have our concerns. We all have our concerns. We have our concerns.
The thing is that
it appears our centre back just might have played the player, your player on Banier. So yeah, it is what it is.
Who cares? What was the score like?
Oh, you pipped us, just as Portugal were pipped by a goal to nil.
But I don't bring the Euro. Stay with the subject.
But this brings a lot to talk about here. Yesterday was fireworks. France versus Switzerland.
Yeah. That was a tough one. That was a tough one.
3-1 up, and they slipped up. I mean,
for France to be eliminated in the way that they were. Yeah.
Well.
But hey, listen. Well, thank you for the congratulatory message, whatever you call it. Did you call that masters, right?
Oh yeah, I said on the day you proved to be masters.
Oh, I'm just grateful that you guys are bowing to us and you're calling us masters, because that's who we are. Really.
It's momentary.
That's just
bask in the glory while you still can. While we've not played the rest, I say bask in the glory while you still.
But you guys, like, I don't even understand you. The issue was our game. It was hard protocol. It wasn't the rest of the games.
Oh, but you see, in the end, in the final analysis,
we've been playing really well.
In the final analysis, neither of our teams, neither of our teams has won the Ghana Premiership in a while. We've won it, the latest. You guys for about a decade.
Can I just tell you,
so both of us, that's
on behalf of us Phobians, the real deal was to score Kotoko. We don't care what happens to the rest.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's it.
Then that's good news for us.
Oh,
because we get to win the title again.
So if you can, do it. And send a yam off muff.
But come to think of it, you guys are 110 years this year. We are what? 86 years this year. And we've still won more Ghana Premiership titles than you guys.
Hey. Let's do the newspapers, shall we?
Can I sneak in another thing before we do the papers? I've been looking at Ghana's history when it comes to flooding. You know, I think sometimes you must express it better in the local languages. Yesterday, when I went to Atala, around the old Wager barrier, and went across around Block Factory, believe me, my heart was, for a moment, like, and we have the visuals, we'll be bringing them to viewers, on this platform, but someone keeps a life jacket in his house because at some point the floodwaters at Mamavi, they are going as high as my height and beyond. Floodwaters. How do you survive that? Look at the level of walls, look at the level of houses. You have floodwaters getting higher than me. People have to keep pumps in their houses to pump water out. This gentleman I speak of, at a point, his grandmother nearly drowned because she can't walk properly and all of that. He had to carry her on his shoulders, the water was at his chest, and hand her over to someone in the next house.
So yesterday we connected with you and then Nanaya Ojima. And everything you guys said, like, very familiar. And I said, you can actually write your script against what will happen next year. And you won't get anything wrong. You would just be spot on. We've been talking about this.
You know, there was this Canadian who used to bet on Accra floods, and every year he won. Till they stopped that bet. Yes.
Yeah, well, actually.
He was winning thousands of dollars every year, betting that Accra would flood. That's how bad it is.
So yesterday I was just thinking, and we connected with the weatherman.
Paddy?
Yeah. Mr. Paddy, and I was saying, so right now, we have to take care of ourselves.
Yeah, because it's basically your own duty to, right now.
The other thing, like what you witnessed, that's bigger than what an individual could do. You can't do anything because it's beyond you. The place gets flooded, and it's not because of what you do. It's coming from somewhere. It's just a lot of things we haven't done in other places. And then you are the receiving end of it. So now what can you do? What you can do is to know what the weather will be like today Is it going to rain? Is it likely to rain, so that you can take the necessary precautions? I think that's just what I said, just to console myself, really, because what else can people do?
Like, I spoke to people who, when it rains a little heavily, they can't access their own homes. They can't go home. A lady told me at one time she had to spend a week in a hotel. What if you don't even have the money? You have a house, and I'm talking of someone with a big house. She couldn't go because of floodwaters for 5 days. I mean, why must we live like this?
We should have stayed with Accra Hearts of Oak. Now that you bring this matter, this is a very disturbing subject. Especially when you know there isn't closure, actually. You don't know where the solution will come from. Yeah.
Well, at least a bit of a dour note on which to start the show, but the better we know our problems and address them, the better it will be for us. Yeah.
Okay. So,
shall we dig in?
Yeah.
Let's start with you.
Absolutely. The Daily Dispatch is what I'll start with today. NPP's 2024 flag bearer race, 2 more joined to make total of 8. And the question I asked was, are they picking form somewhere so that the Daily Dispatch is able to tell that there are 8 people now who are hoping to lead the NPP? But not quite, because the paper says that they are picking credible or reliable, from reliable sources. There are 2 more leading members of the New Patriotic Party. They will join the race to be elected as the party's 2024 flag bearer to contest the 2024 presidential elections. So the name or names, Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Efri Yakoto, who will be 72 years in October this year. The other is Mr. Osei Ameyao, a former NPP Member of Parliament for Esojaman and the former Director General of the National Lottery Authority. He is 62 years. And the other 6, Vice President Dr. Baomia, Alan Chematin, Jogate, Kofi Kunedwa Preku, Boache Jakon, Adai Nimo. And the paper is also saying that they're expecting that Mr. Chematin and Dr. Akoto will resign as Ministers of State by the last quarter of next year to enable them concentrate on their campaigns. There's a lot more to the story. If you're interested, you have the time, you can grab the paper and read. Also, Kandapa on Ghana-Togo boundary disputes. Greater Accra Regional Minister commends traders for relocating to Ajin Kotoku. And then, well, I guess that's it, really. The big headlines on the front page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. So let me leave it here.
All right, let me tell you about one interesting thing I've found in the Finder newspaper today. Pages 8 and 9 are actually turned upside down, so you have to turn them this way to take a look. So Finder, please sort that out. But the Finder, 2,400 Ghana cedis or 12 months in prison, or both are sanctions for refusing to be counted. That's according to the Ghana Statistical Service. In fact, if I take a sneak peek at that story, it says Chief Census Officer Professor Samuel Kobina Enim has warned that anyone who declines to be counted during the 2021 population and housing census would be fined not less than 200 penalty units, equivalent to 2,400 Ghana cedis, or spend 12 months in prison, or both. Doesn't sound pleasant. He said Section 54 of the Ghana Statistical Service Act 2019, that is Act 1003, had clearly outlined various offences and penalties for offenders and urged the public to cooperate with the census officers to prevent any sanctions. So you know what time it is. It's 12 months, 2,400 Ghana cedis, or both. Now, why would you want to go through all of that? All of this data, very important, crucial, really, to our national life. So let's all get counted. On the same page, it talks about census night enumeration starting in the Upper West region. Ghanaian students on scholarship in UK get €150,000 startup fund. Get counted, President Akufo-Addo is saying so, and of course, John Ejekum Kufuor, former president, has also been saying that. There's an 800,000 Ghana cedi grant to renovate museum. Dr. Awal promises Ghana Museums and Monuments Board, and don't demand money from census enumerators, Vice President tells respondents. But on the flooding situation I made mention of a short while ago, on page 5 of the Finder newspaper, it says the Teshi Demo community in the Lejokuku municipality has been ravaged by floods after Saturday's rains. The residents had property, including fridges, clothing, foodstuff, computers, documents, washed away, while the roofs of houses were blown away, with some houses collapsing. Mrs. Ashley Cecilia, a resident, in an interview with the Ghana News Agency, said the cause of the flooding was a blockage of the big gutter. And we know of all these things, yet we wait year in, year out for the rains to come. You know, I'm wondering right now, Mama V, the last time I went to Shukura, the Bola Junction area, I'm wondering what that place would look like now that the rains are hitting again. On page 6, fix poor roads in mining communities. That's the charge there. And there's an opinion piece that I want to highlight briefly. Don't spare the Rosewood criminals. Yesterday, I heard Dr. Clementa Park speaking. And you know, after that latest haul when it comes to Rosewood being illegally smuggled out of the country, you know what he said? He said, well, some of the very people who are supposed to be protecting the resource are tacitly in there, somehow engaging in it. And if not so, how would we have such a haul? Was it 5 containers or something at the harbor, people trying to transport them? So that's it with the Finder newspaper. In sports, Sergio Ramos approached by Man City, PSG and Bayern Munich. I think he's a free agent now. And Ghana Premier League will fight to the end. Kotoko coach Mariano Barreto.
Let's do the Daily Guide newspaper. Front page, Nana Baumia counted. Achimota Forest robbery gang leader grabbed. 150,000 euro startup for Ghanaian students or pounds in the UK. Ignore false claims. Empire Builders wants. GIPC KGL Diaspora Summit ends. 500,000 Ghana cedis for onion traders. This is a figure that we're told the Greater Accra Regional Minister handed over as relief package to onion traders who are scheduled to relocate to a new site at Ajin Kotoko on July 1st, 2021. Let's do the center spread of the paper where we have the News 1 pull out. Before that, though, the Achimota police have arrested a man believed to be the leader of the Achimota Forest robbery gang. Suspect Shadrach Boachi, also known as Anopa, aged 24, according to the police, has led several attacks on commuters along the Achimota Forest and its environs. Shadrach has been on the radar of the Achimota police for several months until he was arrested over the weekend in the Ahafo region. You can imagine. He operates around the Achimota Forest and he was arrested in Ahafo. According to the Achimota District Police Commander, Shadrach has been successful in his strike, hits and run efforts, making his apprehension very difficult. The rest of it is on page 6, I think. Yes, it is. The rest of that story is there. But in the center spread, popular Nigerian musician Burna Boy was a proud winner of the 2021 BET Awards Best International Act. He beat other nominees, including Wizkid, Tanzania's Diamond Platinum, and other acts from France, UK, and Brazil to emerge the winner.
Is it back-to-back?
Yeah, it is.
It's back-to-back,
It is, baby. It is.
Burna Boy burning it.
He deserves it. He deserves it. So Burna Boy says that he was grateful, even though it was his 3rd time winning the award.
Hey, I'm up for it.
Yeah, but he's really worked really hard. So those Diamond Platinums, I saw what he wore to the award. Maybe you can look for it. He was
that guy is always, I've not seen it, but he's always
traditionally
is the Tanzanian guy, right?
Yes, the Tanzania, yeah. And then don't be surprised when you see me preaching. Ghanaian socialite Moisha Budon says she has surrendered her life to Jesus Christ and would henceforth follow the doctrines of Jesus Christ and God. Videos of the curvy lady in church service in Accra have since gone viral on social media. She was captured weeping as she gave her life to Christ. In 2 of the videos spotted by News 1, she was thankful to God for saving her and her family. Somebody was giving me the rundown and said she had actually sent messages for bloggers to be in the particular church on Sunday. So this person was wondering if this was for real or this was an act, you know. So we can only take what is written in what she says. We wish her well. Jesus is definitely the light. So if you see it and you follow through, it's a good thing. It's a lot of blessings. So hallelujah, somebody. We hope that her following Christ will lead other people to do same. Yeah.
Well, we've seen some people who have converted and meant it. You remember that song? I can't sing it on air, but that gentleman, I've forgotten his name.
Who's that?
No. He sang a song, Ope, something. I can't sing it on air. He converted, and nowadays he's a preacher and.
Yaosiki, right?
Yes, that's his name, Yaosiki. And we see his example. So it's not impossible, but somehow I feel this is another Abozi conversion.
Especially when bloggers have been elected to come to church.
I mean, you don't, it's not some sort of showbiz event. But let's give her the benefit of the doubt. I always think that if she says it, why not believe her? Give her the benefit of the doubt. Like the Bible says, by their fruit you shall know them. So we'll find out.
Well, another good news, I missed it, but it's good I've spotted it. The rapper Cardi B has revealed that she's expecting her second child, and this was while performing with her husband, Offset, and his group on Sunday evening at the BET Awards. Okay, Cardi joined the group, appearing on stage in a black bodysuit adorned with rhinestones, is it? A sheer panel in the abdomen exposed Cardi's belly. Well,
ain't no surprises in there.
She did it in grand style. Yeah, definitely no surprises in there.
Ain't no surprises in there.
All right, on the back page of the Daily Guide, we know where you live. Hey, Everton fans warning Benitez. What happened? He's been warned, and they are saying that they know where he lives. The Everton fans are pretty angry. What did he do? Is it because they performed rather very poorly or what? Oh.
I would think
so. This is ahead of the ex-Liverpool manager's imminent appointment. Oh, so they don't want him to be coach. They don't want him to manage them. Hey, but this threat is serious. So.
We're issuing it before you.
But shouldn't they be targeting the club? Why the person who the club is looking at appointing?
Well, I guess they would have their reasons. And Everton has suffered in for quite a number of years, though in the last few years they've also done pretty well. So I guess they want to end some of the agony they've.
But Rafa Benitez isn't bad, is he?
No, he isn't. He's coached some of the biggest teams. If I'm not mistaken, Liverpool.
Yeah, I remember him
Did
at
he
Liverpool.
coach Madrid at a point? I'm not sure about that. But he has coached a number of different clubs, and I believe including even Real Madrid. So he wouldn't be a bad coach at all.
Well, the appointment is likely to be this week, so we'll see if in the face of the threats, the club still insists that he will.
But what the Everton fans are saying to him, though, of course, you can't read that. But they are telling him to something.
I mean, these threatening banners there, it's not on. Okay. This guy plays for Kotoko, Emmanuel Jemfi. He plays what position? Is he the captain of the team?
Please read the story. Nah.
Okay.
What? I don't know what agenda you are setting.
Just look at the back page. Patrick will put the back page of the paper on the screen. I mean, like a very defeatist kind of appearance.
What, the look on his face?
Yeah. Like he's totally broken.
Hey, Mama V.
That's not shocking, is it? It says, but you see, it's the headline that comes with it. I mean, I was surprised because it says the race is still on. We can, okay? But the spirit, like what you see, it's not a still we can kind of look. I mean, you look at it. Why are you refusing to look at it? It's on the screen.
No.
Look at it.
How do you correlate this look? I mean, this is one of the pictures taken.
Massa.
One of many pictures
they say
taken.
He's
and you try to draw linkages between this.
But dude has given up. I mean, it's just like,
Yo.
All the Kotoko fans are giving up.
We can assure you
we don't even know where they are.
We haven't given up.
Okay. I don't want to say good luck because they are far from that. All right. Okay, that's it. Miminya Daibo. Hey, if you guys had won that game, like everywhere will be red. We were gentle.
But, let me confess. You are there until. You are there until.
I'm waiting for your confession.
You are there until.
We're gentle. We're just very moderate.
Yeah.
We don't rub it in like that. We're just good.
But on a more serious note, if we had won, do you know what I was planning on doing? I would come here and I would just be nice to you and I would leave you to spill the beans, to talk about Kotoko.
And I'll couch him, no.
I mean, but you see how swaggalicious and tall we are with our celebrations.
Yesterday I was on Asempa. See, I went to Asempa FM in the morning. I went again in the afternoon. We actually cut a cake.
You targeted some people you wanted to go after.
No, I didn't target them.
No, I know. I know you did.
Do you know what they did to me on Friday? And there was a jersey presentation. We had Kotoko had sent the communications officer to present jersey, like jersey and everything. And they were, oh, wow. Like after everything, all the analysis, all the Kotoko moments, they had hours on radio. And then we thrashed them, like we roasted them.
You didn't thrash us. You kept us by a lone goal.
See, we gave you a jab.
That is what happened.
We gave you a jab.
Well, we're in COVID times. Jabs are good.
There's nothing more painful.
We're in COVID times. A little jab is okay.
I've been asking, Mwedu dear, because...
What's the idea?
Mwedu. Mako drew.
You drew him.
Mako drew fie.
Oh.
Because the quite way near shower. Quite need to me.
I can't to be able to throw.
Hey, can you imagine? This guy said they would score us, and then when they're done, they will sit an hour and go home. Tight.
And you guys, well, I can understand the excitement. You've not beaten us in how long? In your own home in Accra. You've not beaten us in a long time, so it's okay. It's okay if you can. I mean, if you've won one out of 1,000 and you want to celebrate it, it's okay. Let's check out the Daily Statesman. Just two very interesting things I'd like to get into from there. Not the major headlines, but on page 5, tabletop Momo agents, huge security threat. I don't know whether you've ever thought of this, Mama V, but this person is sharing. It's by one Vicky Reku, who says it beats logic as to why one should play down on security and safety even in one's own backyard. He talks about pondering why the telcos are allowing their Momo agents to operate in the open on tabletops with no security whatsoever, as though they were selling tomatoes in the market. At Bekwai in particular, he shares how he experienced to his dismay how customers could line up waiting in the open at a supposed Momo outlet for cash withdrawal or pay-in, and how they are exposed. We've seen, I think in the Ashanti region as well, footage of some of these Momo agents being attacked and all of that. So the security concern there is palpable. However, he also says the tabletop operations are not the best and gives cause for worry. And I think this is an issue because one of my former places of work, I mean, there was a Momo, and this is even, they have quite a setup with bars and, protection. We woke up one day to hear that they had been robbed of close to 50-something thousand Ghana cedis. And that's another trend, apart from this motorbike thing and all of that going on.
Yeah.
That's people target these people. I mean, speak to 10 Momo agents, you would find at least half or one who can share with you some sort of story. And I think it's something that maybe the telcos indeed should be looking into.
Yeah, because you're dealing with money, so you can't pretend that some people are not planning to take it away from you.
Yeah, because you're like a bank. And people rob banks.
Yeah.
People rob banks. Student journalist forced into marriage appeals for support. A 23-year-old level 100 student of the Institute of Business Management and Journalism, Tamale Campus, has been forced into an early marriage, leading to the abrupt termination of her education. She is thus appealing to government, non-governmental organizations, and all right-thinking members of society to come to her aid and help her leave the conundrum she finds herself in. Let me just see whether I can get... Well, she was pleading anonymity, so she doesn't want to. But that is the situation. I felt I should highlight it. And this is where we can sometimes use renown to push some of these things to ensure that the right things are done. And that's why I decided to read out that story.
Oh, that's unfortunate,
Pathetic
really.
one. So that's it for me.
The only, the tricky thing is she's above 18. She's 23,
yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
It changes a lot.
Into an early marriage. Of course, she's not a child, so you can't call it child marriage.
Exactly.
But she's being forced into an early marriage.
Yeah.
But come to think of it, a lot of our women are going through, I mean, we're talking of a student journalist here, but her friends, sometimes the pressure from home and all of that. And you don't even like this person, but if you say, you have to go along with the person.
So this marriage is done already, yeah? I think there can be some kind of arrangement.
She has been forced into an early marriage, leading to an abrupt termination of her education. So yes.
I don't know, I mean, because this is a university student, isn't it?
Yep.
I'm not sure,
Well, tertiary level, at least.
Haven't we moved away from forcing people into doing things, into talking about it?
Have we?
I thought that's because that's why I said that she's a university student, isn't she? So
well, it's at the tertiary level, maybe not necessarily.
You want to believe that the people behind her, in terms of family, if you like.
No,
I'm
let's
looking
face
for the
it. I mean,
appropriate term to use
that thing
here.
is very much there. I mean, across the world, I mean, parents have influence, society has influence, but especially here, in some of these matters, you are under your parents' roof and you stay with you. No, it's a reality.
But the other thing too is that the fact that you're married doesn't mean that you can't go to school. And I think that we should talk about this a bit later on in the show. We should dig into it, really. Yeah, we should. We should. I mean, it saddens my heart, really, that she's going through that. And I'm sure that the way she's even being vocal, it means that she objected to it. She talked about it, and nobody listened to her.
She's pleading anonymity, which means
if
she puts her name out there could even be a backlash.
Yeah. This is unfortunate, really. Very complicated. Good morning to our colleague in the Savannah region, Isaac Nonya, our Savannah region correspondent. But Apostle Ken Kwejo-Safo, lead pastor, FCI East Legon, and CEO of Smart Tailors West Legon. It was your birthday yesterday. Beatrice and myself are wishing you a happy birthday. I hope that you had a fantastic birthday. Pastor Ken is an amazing gentleman. It's also your birthday. Happy birthday to Mrs. Theresa Owari Odum, Head of Sales and Mobile Banking at Nwabieja Rural Bank. From Roland Walker, your husband, and the rest of the family. Happy birthday to you. All right, Ben?
Well, looks like this is how far we have come. And we're going to break for sports. When we come back, there's more sporting action from, of course, right here in Ghana, and of course, the Euro 2020. Do stay. Well, here we are, and it's census time on the AM show. We're talking about that new dynamic. We should have had our last census last year, but on the back of COVID-19, we could not have it. This year, well, we're having that census. Census night has come and gone, and we're talking about all the dynamics surrounding it. Joining us for the discussion, Abena Osei Akoto is Director, Survey and Censuses Organization, and she joins us for this conversation. A very good morning to you, Doc.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity.
It's always a pleasure. You know, it's part of our responsibility as media entities to do what we are doing now, to ensure that we disseminate the sort of information that the public ought to know about. So it's actually our pleasure. It behoves us to do this, and we are glad we're doing this.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great. So before we get into other matters, just lay it bare for us. I'm sure someone is sitting thinking, now, census, you know, what is it all about? Why do I have to get counted?
Okay.
How important is a census to nation building? What are the dynamics to look at?
All right. I keep saying and making this analogy. You are in your home, and you are planning to make a meal. And in time past, usually we know people easily walk in, and then you need to prepare for their own eventuality. Anybody who walks in should be able to get something to eat. But with the urbanization coming in and all that, and money being scarce, it's not worth just preparing meals for the meals to go waste. So in planning a meal, you decide to find out who will partake in that meal.
Right.
And even in your household, you find out the number of persons who will partake in that meal. It's part of the planning.
Right.
And you need numbers in planning that. So
you would even find out that that meal that you're planning, maybe you want to prepare banku with something. You might find out that someone doesn't want banku with something.
Yeah. And that person
wants something.
Something else. So then you know that I need to get 2 or 3 bowls of banku.
Exactly.
Then 1 bowl of maybe fufu. And then another dish for a rice dish for another person. So the numbers helps us to plan. We also get what we call the characteristics of these numbers.
Okay.
And in getting the characteristics of these numbers, it helps you to assess where you need to help, where there is a lack that plans will have to be made or policies need to be set up to help resolve such lack. So these are things that we ourselves need to get counted. And so ordinarily, when you say we are getting counted, they just mean counting people 1, 2, 3. No. That's why I mentioned the characteristics. We need to find out the characteristics of the populace. And then here it is population and housing census, the characteristics of the structures that we have in our country. Let's see how they are. What measures do we put in place to make them better? Because we are in a global world. Each day we want to make our lives better. And then basically to the ordinary person, you move to a place, you need to find out the numbers that live in that locality. You plan setting up maybe a shop. Getting the demographic characteristics of the locality can help you plan appropriately as to what type of shop should I set up. If it's a youthful locality, then you have to try and get things that you think the youth will patronize. If it's more of the aged society, then you will have to look out for what business or issues that you have to bring up to help resolve the problems of the aged in that locality. So basically, it affects us as individuals. And even as we individuals plan, it behoves on the country to also plan. And it's a unit, and you start from your locality, and then it builds up to the district. From the district, you come to the region, and it affects us as a whole, as the country as a whole.
So this, affecting all 16 regions in the country, 272 statistical districts of the country. And you see, as you made that analogy about cooking for your family, you would see that, like we were talking about, the preferences. Ubi per banku, one person wants banku, the other person wants rice, the other person wants fufu. It also points to the different dynamics and the needs of the population.
Yes.
So in some areas, you would realize, there's a shortage of hospital facilities here. By getting some of these demographics, we get to know that we need to do X here, we need to do Y there in such areas. Yeah. So very important, the demographics, the age, and even especially as we talk about jobs, these will also help you know this is the population without jobs concretely, because sometimes we argue about these things. It would help. It would help us get to know all that. But, we've come a long way since 1891, when we supposedly had our first census. What are the key dates to take stock of? Census night is past. What are the key dates to take stock of?
So for now, we started enumeration, and enumeration started yesterday, 28th. That's household enumeration. And then we also have institutions that will enumerate during this period, and it's running for 2 weeks. We need to work within the 2 weeks because we have our reference night. That's the census night. And in order for people not to forget, if it goes beyond the 2 weeks, then recollecting becomes difficult.
Right.
So basically, we try to work within the 2 weeks. And that's officially, we are looking at enumerating everybody by the 11th of July.
So the 11th of July is the key date to take stock of between,
yes.
Yesterday and the 11th of July. I know sometimes there are peculiar circumstances. Someone comes through maybe a day after the census has begun, or maybe even a day after, census night, so to speak. And so the gap in between, the lodging and all of that misses it. Someone dies after, he or she has been counted. What are the dynamics? Because we are looking for figures as accurate as possible.
Okay.
How do you deal with that situation?
Okay. Census taking, we have 2 methods, the de jure and then the de facto. The de jure...
I thought that was limited to politics. Apparently it's in censuses as well.
The de jure refers to the usual members in the household. And our census is the de facto. As at census night, who was in Ghana? As at census night, who was in Ghana? So it's more like taking a snapshot at that point in time. So if you were alive on the 27th night and early dawn 28th you passed, you were in that picture. So we'll count you. If 27th night you were not there, 28th you were born, you were not in that picture. So it really balances out. As people move out and people move in, it crosses out. So basically, those that were there census night and had passed, we count them. Those that were not there on census night and have been born, we leave them out. But it really balances out. And then we also want to ensure that whoever was there on census night is enumerated. So we get to know those who fell into that picture.
This just crossed my mind. Do you also balance your data with, for example, data emanating from the births and deaths registry? Because they would be, I think, up to date more when it comes to who has been born recently, who has died in recent times. I know sometimes there is a lack of reporting, which is in itself illegal, but it happens all the same. But then, I mean, that registry has a database that we can fall on. Does the Ghana Statistical Service, even after you're done with this, do you fall on that as well to maybe see how, what the correlation is and whether you can take out and add in, rather than just assume maybe that, well, some people would have been born, others would have died, and it will balance out?
I won't say yes, but census taking the total count of the country at a certain point in time. Subsequently, we have various surveys that we do. And then getting registered at birth and then at death, right, gives us the sense of how, or the numbers that we lose or we gain. In population dynamics, we have what we call the growth rates. And in calculating the growth rates, these dynamics as those who die, those who are born, those who migrate or leave the country, those who also come in, all these things are put to play in coming up with our population growth rate and in calculating, projecting population. Administrative data is good, but we are not yet there to dwell more on the administrative data. So we use administrative data in our projections and coming up with our surveys as well to validate our figures. But for now, the census gives us the total count of the population at a point in time that we set as the census night.
Right. And especially as you go back to this, it also brings to mind, this wouldn't be the first time that we've missed a census year.
No.
I mean, 1941 is an example because of World War I. And last year, on the back of COVID, I mean, these force majeure situations sometimes compel us not to do it. But what would you say, this comes to mind, what would you say has been the impact? Have we lost anything on the back of not being able to have the census last year?
Okay, I wouldn't say we've lost something. You know, it's a global world. We are part of the United Nations, and the United Nations has the 2020 round of censuses.
Right.
The 2020 round of censuses doesn't mean that you must have it in 2020. It's barely 2 or 3 years before the 2020, or 2 or 3 years after the 2020. So even as we are having it in 2021, we are still within the 2020 round of population and housing censuses. And our data could be compared with other countries who had also taken it within that period.
Right. And when you look at the data, I mean, sometimes some wild fluctuations. If you look at between 1960 and 70 and the increase, and then you look at between 2010 and 2020 and the approximations, you'd realize that our population has been growing steadily. It's the growth pattern has been massive. But what would be the projections? I know counting is not done, but for a long time we've had projections from the international bodies approximating that we're about 31 million. Per the Ghana Statistical Service, what are some of the blanket numbers that we can look at even before we conclude on this exercise?
But I would say that the projections come from us. You know, when you do censuses over time, you calculate the growth rate of the country. And that is why there are some characteristics that we find out. The number of children born in the past 12 months, those who have survived, those who have died, all these we find out from the individuals we interact with. And this helps us in calculating getting as I mentioned, the growth rate, and also use it to project the population before the next census. It helps us to project our population before the next census. And in so doing, we also, it gives us data to be working with before the next census.
So it doesn't leave you just with your hands empty, stating that, let's say in 2021, you find out our population hovers around 32 million, approximately. You wouldn't just be planning with 32 million
always
in your hands till maybe 2031. So you would be playing with the figures.
Yes, and knowing very well that as the population grows, then your projection also helps in planning. And then in between too, there are surveys that are run to also expose problems. Researchers also do their own research to expose other issues for policymakers to inform policymakers to make the necessary policy formulation to address some of these issues. The census gives us a frame. We have the frame where we can sample from in our sample surveys to help us. In our sample surveys, if the sampling is done right, you project to the national population, and it surely meets the population targets that we have. So basically, it helps us address some issues that census we don't delve into more, because census, as you know, it's total country.
Right.
But in the surveys, we sample, and then we delve in more to specific issues, and with the figures that we get from the survey or research, it helps us also to address particular issues.
There's economic data, health data, age stratification and all of that. In the course of, even after a census, are you then able to liaise with organizations like the National Health Insurance Authority, the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, the National Identification Authority, all of that? Do you liaise with them to ensure that you are up to date on data, in different aspects of the population?
Yes, in our work, our work is broad. As you mentioned, we have the demographic aspect, we have the economic aspect. And we deal with all these organizations. They are stakeholders in the work that we do. In our economic statistics, for instance, we deal with industries, establishments, and in so doing, we also liaise with SNET to reconcile the numbers that we have as regarding the establishments, because there are establishments that has to, by law, pay SNET for their workers. We deal with national ID, the National ID Identification Authority. Yes, because they really take basic demographic characteristics of the populace. And in so doing, liaising with them, it will come to a point whereby maybe we may not be taking censuses again, but getting our administrative data right. From there, we can always project and get our population figures right.
So, I mean, we've heard of different instances of people being upbeat about getting counted, others, you know, even resisting getting counted. We'll look at the penalties later, but what progress would you say? It's early days yet, but what progress would you say you've made thus far? I mean, between the 28th and today, what is it looking like with your enumerators out there?
Okay, generally it looks good. Generally, with your support as well.
Definitely.
Because the publicity, people were saying it wasn't so much. But, you know, whilst we trained roughly about 75,400 people. And each of these...
Out of the targeted 75,000? You trained 74,000?
75,400.
75,400. So it's even more than the approximate figure that was.
Then all these were ambassadors in their various homes.
Right.
You talk about the census to your household members, you talk about the census to your friends. And then the media also came in to support us, to make noise about it, for people to know that census is in the offing and it's coming on. And as you said, the census night also open an avenue for people to also get aware of the census by the celebration of the census night, some activities that were done and all that. Yet there are people who are wondering, how do I benefit from the census? Why should I be part of the census? Because, well, I'm not seeing anything. The government has not done anything for me. I keep saying this to these people. Even when you want to sell wachi at some corner, you need to know the number of people in the area, such that when you cook your wachi, it won't go waste. You also need to know the categories, how the youth, the middle age, those who move out early in the morning from the area, and all that. These are characteristics that help you plan and know that, well, if I cook wache at this time or maybe in the afternoon, I'll get my customers. So these are things that help us plan our businesses, plan our homes, plan our schools, plan, as you mentioned, where we put clinics or hospitals and all that. It's the housing, for instance, getting to know number of persons who are in makeshift structures. That if we need to plan for them, we know that these numbers at this area, particular area, has this problem and we need to fix it. So these are things that are exposed when we have the census, and it's for all of us to be partakers and ensure that we answer our questions correctly and accurately to help inform decision making.
And even something else that comes to mind, as a country that suffers quite a bit of open defecation, though we're dealing with it, how many housing facilities have toilets, for example? Washroom facilities, how many compound houses? Because there are laws surrounding that where you ought to have, you know, these facilities, but we still know that there are houses, a lot of them, without them. So we can target all of these.
And target them appropriately.
Let's talk about COVID-19. COVID-19 actually prevented us from doing this last year. But this year we're doing it, but we are going to observe the protocols and ensure that we are still getting counted, but we are staying safe as well. What is the plan as far as the Ghana Statistical Service is concerned?
Yes, we are keeping to the COVID protocols, wearing our masks, washing our hands and all that. We've also had meetings with the Ghana Health Service. They are giving the shots to our enumerators. So various districts are arranging for the enumerators to go and take their shots. So when we come to your home, please be rest assured that our enumerators have taken their jabs as regarding the COVID-19. And we also want to stick to our protocols. So whoever comes and the person is not wearing his or her mask, ensure that the person wears the mask and wears it appropriately, correctly.
Right. I heard some time back about the head of the GSS talking about the fact that you have the logistics you need in anticipation. This was 100 days before census night. But let's talk about the enumerators. And I am asking a bit of a naughty question.
Yes,
in a
please
way.
go ahead.
There are some institutions, organizations, I'm not going to mention which, but when it comes to voting, when it comes to this, when it comes to that, even, you know, the regional reorganization and people who had to go through certain processes, these organizations rope in people to help. Like now you are bringing in the enumerators, but long afterwards, oftentimes you would hear some of them reaching out to you that they've still not been paid for the service they rendered to the nation. Okay. And even recently, some batch of people, reached out to me concerning one of such institutions. Okay. What are you doing to ensure that all these enumerators, at the end of whatever, the period, get what they deserve and that we don't have that spillover that we usually see? People are aiding the national cause, yet years afterwards, they've not got paid.
Okay. We have signed contracts with our enumerators, and there are stipulated time and then conditions that you meet to be paid. The first tranche, which is 30% when you finish with your listing exercise, has been paid.
I see. And when you say the first tranche, can you put a number to it?
30%.
30%.
30% of what is
to each of them?
To each of them.
The 75,400.
The 75, those who are in the field, each of them.
Okay.
When they finished listing, we expected figures coming from the field because we are here in the head office. So they sent us the figures and then we calculated and then sent it to them. As at the last time I was aware, we had paid 14 out of the 16 regions.
14 out of the
16 regions, because then there were 2 regions that have not submitted their returns for the payment.
Which regions were those?
It was Central and Ashanti.
Central and Ashanti.
But I think now they have brought in their returns, and for sure it will be done, and then the monies are sent.
Okay.
We are sending this monies electronically.
But just to get this clearly before we get to the electronic bit, so does that mean that for those in the Central and Ashanti region, they've not got the 30% component yet?
It's possible that by now they might have gotten it, because that was about last Saturday.
Okay.
So we were following them up to send in the details.
Right.
So, as I said, we are paying electronically. And then there are times that it fails. Either the contact number the person gave was not correct,
right,
and needs to be rectified. So these are gaps that
some of the dynamics.
So when we get to know, we get in touch with the accounts team to ensure that these are rectified, and then they get their money.
So are we paying them in bank accounts? Are we paying via Momo? How is it going? Since you mentioned phone numbers.
Via G-Money, yes.
Okay. So Bank of Ghana.
Commercial.
Ghana Commercial Bank.
GCB Bank.
Or GCB Bank.
Yes, GCB Bank.
Okay. All right, GCB Bank.
And you know they are everywhere, so
yes,
it will make life comfortable for them.
Right.
Right.
Right. Okay, so at least we have some confidence in the system. 30% paid so far. And for those in the Central and Ashanti regions who likely wouldn't have been paid by Saturday, likely today, by today,
they should get their money.
They should get their money. And subsequently...
For the 30%.
Right. And at the end of the period, we're going to ensure that all those 75,400
get their money.
Get paid. That's very reassuring, heartwarming.
And then I mentioned that there are conditions you have to meet. As the data is being synced, there's a team, the data monitoring team, who are also looking at the data. Where there are issues, they will prompt you.
Okay.
To also, the administrators to also look at it and correct those errors and all that.
Right.
So you should be cleared that, the work that you've done it well, and then subsequently we also pay you.
So it means that for someone who has question marks over his or her enumeration, so to speak, there would be problems with getting the person paid.
You won't be paid till you clear those ones.
Right, right. Of course, very important because the data has to be correct for us to be able to use it. Let's talk about being honest, being very clear and not resisting the counting process, because, I mean, we've had incidents where we've heard of people to whose houses enumerators went, and the people were not there, they had not left the right data with whoever was at home, maybe a house help or something. And some people also stating that, well, we're afraid of robbers and all of that, Nancy, so we don't want to. All of that has been in there. Some of it justified in a way, but it's also illegal not to get counted. So far, what are we looking at in that respect? And what are some of the penalties for not getting counted or not giving honest information?
Okay. As we said, or was said earlier, there is legal backing in the collection of data that we are doing. And should you refuse, legal action can be taken.
Right.
And in that sense, either you could be fined or imprisoned, or both.
So that's 2,400 Ghana cedis?
Yes.
Or 12 months? That's a year in incarceration?
Yes.
Or both?
Or both,
So you could pay you could even be asked to pay the 2,400
as well as
and go to jail.
Yeah. So we don't pursue that yet. We try to talk you to appreciate the work that we are doing, the need for that work, how you yourself will benefit from that work. So it's a process. Should the enumerator fail to convince you, the enumerator falls on the supervisor, for the supervisor to also come in. I mean, it's possible that the enumerator was not able to explain things properly to you to appreciate where she is or he is coming from. Then there are opinion leaders within the community that we are living. So we also fall on these opinion leaders to also try and explain to you or let you appreciate the work that we are doing in order for you to also be part of it. The other time I heard that there are some foreign nationals who don't want to be part of it because they said that they are not Ghanaians. I will tell them that still you are in Ghana. When we are planning, you are part of our planning because you are using some of our resources.
Expatriates are also, they factor into
it, yes.
Our infrastructure and all of that.
Yeah, so we should all be part. When our enumerators come to your various homes, please don't tell them that you are not a Ghanaian, so you cannot be part. You are living on Ghanaian soil. And in our planning, you are also factored in. So please, let us have your details in order for us to plan and plan effectively.
You know, it reminds me of a song we used to sing back in school. We are all involved. We are all involved. Yes. We are all involved in building our motherland. So we all ought to get involved in the counting process as well. As we get ready to wrap up, and I'll take some concluding comments from you on other surrounding matters, but media houses are doing their bit, like we're doing here on JoyNews, on the AM show. But how can individuals, citizens, aid the cause, apart from making themselves available to get counted, and maybe apart from speaking to others to encourage them to get counted? How else can we, as individuals, aid this cause when it comes to the 2021 census?
Getting to know that somebody next door has not been counted. You always have to alert us. We cannot be everywhere, but we are also everywhere. So in alerting us that so and so structure here or household here haven't been counted will also alert us to zoom in to that specific area and ensure that they are counted. So that is being a citizen. And our number, toll-free number, we have a toll-free number that you can always call to. That is the 0800 426 426. So that number, there are always people around to take your calls and know your concerns for us to help address these concerns.
Right.
But we are trying to ensure that everyone in Ghana, as at the 27th night, is counted.
And I think another good means you've used is the text messages and all of that. I'm looking at some of those that have come on Sunday, June the 13th. I got one about the listing of structures. On Monday, June the 22nd, I got another one stating that if the structure where I live or work has not been numbered, I should call that toll-free line, 0800 426 426. You can't get counted. I got another one only yesterday mentioning that from now till the 11th of July, census officials will be visiting
your homes.
Our homes. So I guess that is also helping the drive. For someone who may have missed out on quite a bit of the information,
this one,
the text messages will also help.
Prompt a person, yes.
And so the number to take stock of that toll-free line, 0800 426 426, 0800 426 426. Any concerns, you can reach out on that number.
And should we, usually there are people who work late, like some of us, so it's difficult getting us home. The enumerator, when he or she gets there, will leave a callback card behind, leave her contact on that callback card, so that you, when you get home, you get in touch with him or her in order to schedule a meeting that will suit you. So please, if you have a busy schedule, yes, the enumerator will leave a callback card.
Okay.
And then you specify and then also call the person back to let the person know when you will be available, at what time, and then the person will have to come and enumerate you. Their work is not a 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. kind of work. It cuts across. So please, the enumerator will be available to the schedule you agree on when to get you, and the enumerator will come over and do the enumeration.
Right. So something brief comes to mind. So these enumerators, quite a number of them, that is job creation right there. You're at least going to get them something doing for a while. But what is the plan after you're done with this? This just came to mind. After you're done with this entire process, is there the possibility of any of them being maintained to do something with the statistical service, or even in future?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You know, we created a platform, an online platform for the recruitment. So from there, we have a pool of enumerators that we can be dealing with.
Okay.
We have, in between censuses, we have surveys. So at any point in time, we'll have to engage them in one survey or the other. Though the survey is not as extensive, large as the census is. But at any point in time, we'll have one survey or the other running, and we'll get some people getting something to do to occupy themselves.
So this will be a sort of rolling job opportunity from time to time?
From time to time, yes. And to me, too, I believe that whatever you get from one of these, you can also turn it around in one way or the other to help you improve on your livelihood. So
interesting.
Basically.
Fantastic. Your concluding remarks, Doc, as we wrap up on this conversation. I'm sure Ghanaians, all of them, are watching us this morning. What would be your message as we, ramp up in our census?
We thank everybody for being part of the census. And if we haven't gotten to you, stay put. We'll come to your household. There are a few issues that come up. Either I am aligned with this traditional area, so the boundary, there are quite some boundary issues. Even if there are boundary issues, please allow us to do the enumeration. When we finish the enumeration, we will always appropriately, when these issues are resolved, we will put the figures where it belongs. So allow us to come to your home and enumerate you. If you miss this opportunity, it will distort our figures. So let's allow us to come to your homes and enumerate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doc.
Because we want you to monitor, help us monitor the work. So we'll give you one. So you help us monitor and ensure that the right things are being done in the field.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Doc.
you
It's been refreshing. It's been informative. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
That is Dr. Abna Osei Akoto. Let me leave it that way. Director, Survey and Censuses Organization, the Ghana Statistical Service as well. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. But coming up next on the AM show, today we tell the story of Roger Abba Atambire, a rising football star whose road to glory was cut short after being embroiled in the use of drugs and alcohol. He quit the habit. He's now set up the Life Out of Alcohol and Drugs, that is Load Ghana Center in Bolgatanga, to help recovering addicts get their lives back on track. Watch this feature by Upper East correspondent Albert Sori, and after that, we'll hear from Roger and also talk to Dr. Eugene Dodoi, consultant addiction psychiatrist, substance addiction expert, on how these people can get their act together.
About us, and especially my talent, how good I was, and how easy I'll be. The Bedipele playing House of Kotoko.
A wrong turn down the road to alcoholism and drug abuse due to peer pressure changed his childhood dreams to what he says became an adult nightmare.
I always say ignorantly, thinking that we're enjoying and not knowing we're destroying our careers and killing ourselves slowly. Some of us that started, some stopped, some of us also struggled a lot. I can say that some also died.
Years of struggling with his addiction led him to the Ankafo Psychiatric Hospital in Cape Coast, where he managed to turn his life around. Roger Abba Atambire never got to become a professional footballer, but he became a fire officer with the Ghana Fire Service and did some good for himself, his family, and his country. He says starting Load Ghana is one way he could ensure that he does not ever yield to the temptation of going back to drinking alcohol or using drugs. More importantly, this rehabilitation center will help others who are battling one form of addiction or the other.
I was in Ankara for 6 months. I went there 2011 November, and I came out 2012 June. And so when I came out, I started selling the idea to opinion leaders to see the reaction, the response, the support that I would get. Then eventually I had a platform on radio to speak about alcoholism and drug abuse among the youth in this country. I came up with the idea that I needed to start something, establish something. And then we came up with Load Ghana, Life Out of Alcohol and Drugs.
Today, the Load Ghana Center is gradually achieving its objectives as many addicts come to this center located at Sombrungu to try and get their lives back on track. Adongo, not his real name, is one of them. He is a young man in his 20s who is here at the Load Ghana Center to try and overcome his cocaine addiction and get his life back on the good path. Just like Roger, Adongo as a child had a bright future. He was learning some mechanic work as an apprentice to his father, who was an agriculture engineer.
My father was general engineer. He's general engineer. So he got pension, and I was learning the work with him in the house. So I know something small about engineering. That's why I wanted to move on with the work of education.
Adongo was on the right track to the future he hoped for. But the neighborhood Adongo lived in had many young people who abused drugs. So he was influenced into trying cocaine, and that changed everything.
It was the environment that made me to know cocaine. The reason why I started taking is, they always tell you that if you smoke, your brain will be fast, you will be doing like certain things. I was 18. Yeah, I was in school, JSS. My JSS to my final year to write my BEC, that I've got to know cocaine. By then, I was not even thinking about my life. All I do is just to have money, to get money and smoke.
He never continued with his education after completing the junior high school, and is only lucky to escape being in jail by now. Fortunately, with the presence of the Load Ghana Center, Adongo has begun his rehabilitation program and is on course to getting his life back in order again.
What they are doing for me here is good for me. It has erased many things in my mind. It made me to think about how life goes on. So it is good for me being here. Yeah, they are helping me to forget the old things and to think about what will go on in my life, new life.
Rehabilitation and recovery from addiction is almost impossible without the
to try to gain my sobriety or have a sober life. And finally,
thanks to our correspondent Albert Sori for bringing this story to our attention and telling it the way that he has. Let's turn our attention to Zoom on the back of what you've heard and followed. Roger Tambere is the executive director of Load Ghana. We saw him in this short documentary. Dr. Eugene Dodo is consultant addiction, psychiatric substance addiction expert, and he also joins us. So good morning to you both, gentlemen. Yes, hi.
Long time.
Yes, Dr. Dodoy. I hope all is well.
Very well. By God's grace.
We thank God. I am very well, thank you. I want to start with Roger. And Roger, thank you. Thank you for turning your own situation around and using that to help others as well. So
you're welcome.
Great. Back to your own personal story. How long did it take you to recover fully?
Good morning to our viewers. It was a struggle. It's not easy quitting addiction. Earlier, the family didn't know that this was addiction. So they attributed everything to witchcraft, spiritual issues, and other things. So they were taking me to prayer camps, traditionalists seeking for help. But eventually, an expert, a psychiatric nurse, recommended that they take me to a rehabilitation center, and I was taken to Ankafo Psychiatric Hospital under the supervision of Dr. K. Sego, a clinical psychologist. So I did my rehab program at Ankafo Psychiatric Center, but I struggled more than 5 years and eventually went to rehab. And in rehab, I did 6 months and came out. I went 2011 and came out 2012.
Was it easy, you know, the way that you say it as you're recalling?
It is not easy financially, physically, psychologically. It affects virtually every part of the human being. To bring division to family, it wasn't easy at all. It wasn't easy. It's not easy quitting addiction, but you must do it. You must do it. You should fight for it. You need to come back and contribute to your quota to the development of society. It's not easy, but you must. We need it, and we need the support of our family, church, friends, and the country as well. It's not easy, but we must do it.
How was your life disrupted?
Badly. I think I would not say I'm intelligent, but I'm not also stupid. I'm not a bad student. I had Division 1. We were the last batch of the old system. I went to Vromo Secondary School for my A-levels. I didn't do bad at all, but eventually alcohol would take your attention out of everything. So I started struggling when I was in the University of Professional Studies, deferred my course and went for rehabilitation. It affected me. Every part of you would be affected. You find out that your friends are ahead of you, things that you wanted to do, things that you were doing, you just forget about them and concentrate on your drug usage.
Dr. Dodoy, we talk about the hard substance, but I guess that we hardly publicly talk about alcoholism, which is also a disorder, a chronic disease, if you like. How important is what Roger is doing, using his own experience and setting up the Load Ghana, a center where others can also come through and recover?
Thank you for having me. I must say what Roger is doing is super commendable. And that is what we'll be grateful to have almost everyone do for us. If people who go through the 12-step therapy, which he has mentioned, the 12-step, in fact, says that you would also reach out to other suffering addicts to come into recovery. So what he's doing now is the 12th step of the 12 steps recovery process. The first step is to admit that you have a problem and you are powerless over it. So if you look at admitting you have a problem to the level where you kind of more or less give back to society to help other people who are recovering to come back. I mean, that is what he is doing now. But he enumerated the challenges. The financial challenge is one big step, because it's very expensive to be in rehabilitation anywhere in the world. Because don't forget that addiction affects people who are usually be in the working class. It starts in the teenage, but its impact is felt most when we are at the age of working. At that time, you have to stop work, leave work, go and stay somewhere for many months to a year or two to get recovery. Somebody has to pay for you. So at this point, you are not working. You are not productive. Somebody has to be productive and pay for your recovery. And it's not like once you go into rehab, you are by all means going to get recovery or stay sober. And just like any chronic disease we have, if you have hypertension and you get one heart attack, it does not mean you cannot get another heart attack. So some of them may get back into using the alcohol or drugs again. But it is part of the disease process. We didn't stop using the term relapse for them. He used it, but it's not a relapse. When somebody with hypertension gets his disease back or the BP becomes uncontrolled, we don't say they have relapsed. It is the disease nature. It was because formerly we didn't think it was a disease. It was more like a moral issue. And that was why that word was being used as if it was their wish. But the challenge is that addiction is a disease. And the most common drug of abuse is alcohol. So we know very well that the ones we abuse are the illicit ones, which is alcohol and tobacco. And in fact, alcohol causes more harm and damage than cocaine and heroin and marijuana all put together.
Yeah.
Alcohol more damage than all the three, which are all illegal. So it's kind of dangerous to turn away from alcohol. So for us in addiction, the disease is addiction. What you are addicted to is the symptom of your addiction.
Okay.
So people can get addicted to alcohol or to marijuana or to cocaine or to heroin or to prescription drugs now, the tramadol and the pethidine and the codeine, which are being abused now. Those are the symptoms of their condition. But the challenge is that they have impaired control. Their brains cannot handle a drug that make them feel high or change the way they feel, think, or behave. Once any drug does that to them, they always want to go back for the substance.
Okay,
so everybody who drinks alcohol, it has disease addiction. But some people who drink alcohol will get the addiction. And for them, when they get it, let's realize and treat them. There's treatment, like any chronic disease, and let's recognize and treat them.
Okay, so Dr. Dodo, you know, we drink once in a while. There are people who say they are occasional drinkers. At what point do you determine that somebody is addicted to alcohol?
Yeah, so somebody says it's an occasional drinker, except that the occasion comes frequently. So there are things we look up for in diagnosing addiction. Largely, we'll look at if you realize that the amount you intend to drink, like today is Friday, I want to drink 1 bottle of a stout like Guinness or beer, and I end up drinking 3 bottles, then I have a problem. If I decide that, oh, today with my friends, I'll spend an hour there before going home, and I end up spending 3 hours, then I have a problem. If I decide that, oh, I'll go there, and the time I use to recover from the drug, because if you get drunk and you have to walk home, if you're very drunk, you sleep there. If you realize that you are not able to go and get back the time you had intended to, Then you know you have impaired control. Your mind cannot control the drug. The next one is craving. If you have this strong urge and desire every time to go and use the substance, then you have a problem. And then there is one nice way which I use what the patient told me to put it. I said, Doc, when you walk in front of the drinking spot, as if something pulls you inside. So there's what we call a compulsion. You feel compelled to drink or to use the drug. Then you have a problem. If you've been told that you have a medical condition because of your drinking, if you are aware that, Jeff was telling us that he had to drop out of school because of drugs. If you have a social problem, a legal problem, a medical problem because of the drug or alcohol you are using, and you continue to use it, then that's called continued use despite harm. So when you have any of these 4 C's, we call them usually. So impaired control, craving for the substance, compulsion to use the substance, and continued use despite harm using the substance, then we conclude that you have the disease.
Okay,
it must be in the mildest form, that you have only about 2 or 3 of them. There are usually 11 symptoms. If you have 2 or 3, it's a mild. You can have 4 or 5, which is a moderate symptom. 6 or more means you have severe. Based on how severe the condition is, we may recommend a residential rehab, or sometimes you can do what we call brief intervention.
Okay.
We advise you and help you. Not everybody has to be in a rehab. So based on how severe it is.
Okay.
But by the time you get to severe, you need a residential rehab.
Okay.
Which should be in every region. So I'm happy he's doing it up north.
Okay, just a little clarification, and I'll go back to Roger. Are you saying that if you're going to hang out, say, on Friday, you should think about how many bottles you're going to consume before you go and have the sit down?
Well, that is what everybody does. I mean, nobody goes to the restaurant to say, if I go and I can eat 5 plates, I'm going to eat like 5 plates of food.
Yeah, but this is alcohol we're talking about. Do you pre-plan how many bottles?
No, listen. So what I mean is that you go to the restaurant knowing that you are going to eat 1 plate of food. You don't go and say, if I go and there are 5 plates of food, I will eat all. So going to the drinking spot on Friday, you have an idea, I'll drink a bottle or 2. If you end up drinking 5 or 6, you definitely have a problem, because you intend. And don't forget that people who drink know, for instance, they'll drive after drinking. So they know very well that if I drink more than 2 bottles, I can't drive safely home. But when you start drinking, you forget about all those safety precautions. Then you suddenly begin that, even after 4, I can drive. After 5, I can drive. So once you get that impaired thinking,
Hello, Dr. Dodoi? Okay, I think our connection to Dr. Dodoi is frozen, but I still have Roger. Dr. Dodoi will join us when the connection is a bit stable. Roger, so what kind of people do you see? I know that Albert said, you have some 5 active clients right now, but you've seen about 29, close to 30 so far. What kind of situation do they present with?
Currently, we have about 8 clients here.
Oh, okay.
But we have, that's the current number. We have about 8. We not only looking at the alcoholics alone, we're also looking at the other substance abusers or other addicts as well, because we are collaborating with other institutions. We're working with a team that has to do with the psychiatric team and the medical team as well. So we're not concentrated on alcohol alone or alcoholics alone. And addiction has no respect for profession or tribe or religion. We receive all sorts of people here, professionals. I don't want to mention any profession, so people would misinterpret what I'm saying. But we receive all sorts of people here. We receive calls, complaints from family. Students these days is the worst hit. I always say that if we don't do something, before we wake up one day, we'll all be. We just sit on a time bomb. Let me put it that way. They did a survey recently, and the report is alarming. It's alarming. The number of students that are smoking marijuana, the number of ladies that are using pain relievers, that's the tramadol, and they had pain killers. So it's just a serious problem that we as a country, we need to start thinking seriously about it, what to do to educate the youth. I went into addiction, I can say, just by ignorance. I didn't know anything known as addiction. So just like what I did, or what led us to starting alcohol and graduating to other substances, the youth doing the same thing. You go to schools and you educate them and want to know more. What are we doing about that? Can't we make it part of our educational system that some of us will be allowed to go around and talk to them? So we receive all sorts of people here with a lot of problems. Those that come here, majority of them are professionals and cannot even go to work. Cannot go to work.
Do you have a situation where some come and then, they recover and they go and they come back again? Those that are not willing yet, you should be ready. You should be ready. You get to a stage that you realize that the addict is ready for recovery, is ready for rehabilitation. With them, you are able to handle them. The other problem that we are faced with is a resource. Family members are not able to keep the person there because of financial constraint. So they abort the program. They don't usually complete the program here. And when that is done, the person is not properly rehabilitated, and definitely, like doctor said, what we don't want to say relapse, would go back to the drinking. So yes, we have instances that people come here, leave, and they bring them back, or we hear that they perhaps are not doing well, and all points to the fact that they were not able to complete the program. So typically, how long would it take for a person to be well? That all depends on the person's the system. Every individual and the way his system works, the willingness or the readiness level of the person also counts. If the person is ready for it, it's not that difficult to rehabilitate such a fellow. All you need to do is to try to guide him, change his mindset, the way he feels about himself, try to get to let him understand that he's born with a purpose and that he's not just here to drink alcohol and leave. So it depends on the individual, but I will always say a minimum of 3 months, a maximum of 12 months. But some of them comes in with a lot of withdrawal symptoms. It takes a long period before you're able to even put them out of a support drug to manage their withdrawal. So it takes a longer period to get the person ready for society again. Roger, what was the turning point for you? And I'm asking, this is your own personal situation. What brought about the change? I met Dr. Sego, and he's a professional. The first time somebody was able to let me believe that I'm born with a lot of purpose. I'm here for a particular task on earth, for a particular task, and I needed to do more than I'm doing. Alcohol is not my destiny, and I needed to come back and get back to school and be productive and contribute towards the development of the country and my family. So doctor gave me a lot of hope. Doctor made me understand that I should fight and come back and be a better person than being called an addict or an alcoholic. So it's the hope, it is the guidance that they will give you, and it's making you, if you also understand the principles and live by the principle, before you know you're out of it and you are doing well. It's the hope that doctor gave me, the self-belief that doctor is telling me. It made me, now, when I came up from recovery, my behavior, my everything changed. The way
I see myself, the way I want to know, the way I want to do things, everything changed. So it's the person that you are going to meet. If you meet the right person, the right professional, the right environment, you'll be able to come back.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of things changed about you, except that the bars, the sports, they kept increasing. So what happened when you spotted these bars?
That is one of the biggest problems. Every 100 meters in my community, I think you get a drinking spot. Not even the established drinking spot, but various homes are now turned into drinking spots. Compound houses. In the middle of the compound house, a room is selling alcohol. My biggest problem, Doc, and everyone listen to me, is siting drinking spot closer to senior high schools and junior high schools. That is my biggest problem now. And they are everywhere. They're everywhere.
So how much does it typically cost to treat one person for the entire duration?
Well, if you are doing residential, it's very expensive because the person will have a room to himself or herself. We still need to respect their privacy, and you'll be feeding the person morning, afternoon, evening. And a lot of things that you invite other team members, volunteers to come help you, like the psychiatric part of it. We need to invite or call the psychiatric department. We have other medical aspects that come to support that. It's very expensive to rehabilitate somebody. You would need up to 15,000 to rehabilitate the person, depending on the duration of his stay in the rehab.
Okay. And do those that come through, do they all have the money?
Come again?
Those that come through your facility, do they all have the money?
That is the problem. That is the problem. This place should have been occupied, or if they say full to capacity by now, but because of the money issue. People come here, do the process, you give them the bill, and they say they cannot afford the bill. Every day we meet them, people call. When you tell them the bill, they tend to say they cannot do it.
Yeah.
And most of them are even a threat to their family now, threatening to kill those that are on all hard substance, and they don't even know how to handle them.
Yeah. I'll bring Dr. Dodoi in to find out if there's any other intervention that is free, if you like. But you watching and listening out there, if this is a condition that you have and you want to speak to us, please feel free and give us a call now. 0302 211 69102. 0302 211 69102. I think we can spend about 5 minutes picking phone calls on this subject. Dr. Dodoi, is there a way that somebody can be rehabilitated free of charge?
It is a double-edged sword in the sense that when you have an additional mental health symptom or mental illness in addition to the drug addiction, then 3 psychiatric hospitals and maybe others psychiatric units in the country provide free mental health care. But that is to the mental illness associated with your drug abuse. If it's just a pure addiction, then currently there is no free health care. It's not covered by health insurance. It's only some few organizations that are prepared to sponsor their employees go through rehabilitation. And I'm proud to say that my university, University of Health and Allied Sciences, has sponsored a few people who have come back to work and they are working. The teaching hospital too has sponsored some employees who have gone into rehab and they are back working. So sometimes the organization can help. It's a policy we call Employee Assistance Program that in fact all organizations should have to help persons with addiction. But people who do not have anybody, should I say, spending on them, then as Roger said, it's very expensive.
Okay.
And
Sorry, I just want to pick some calls. Rashid has been holding on for a while now. Rashid is joining us from New Ebrim. Good morning, Rashid. Thanks for holding. Let's hear you.
Good morning, Mama.
Yes, sir. You're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, great. Talk to us.
Yeah, what you guys are discussing this morning, I'm really enjoying it. Personally, I'm a victim, you know.
Okay. When you say you're a victim, are you out of it? Is it alcohol?
Well, I smoke.
Okay.
I also take alcohol. Not every day.
Is it a condition that you want to get out of?
Yes, please.
Okay. Have you identified what drives you into it?
Actually, when I'm idle, when I'm not doing anything, assuming some of us, the youth, when we are busy, we don't go to the ghetto. We have a work doing. What the hell are you going to do at the ghetto? See, when all of you are just inside watching telly, sometimes when you go out, it drives you there. How much is weed? I must be honest. So
okay.
Sometimes the problem is the work that we are not doing, and then I personally, right now, I face a lot of let me see, I don't care. Let me put it that way. So this program, I've gotten something out of it. I just want to call and say thank you.
Oh, thank you, Rashid. Thank you very much. Stephen is in Koforidua. Good morning, Stephen.
Yeah, good morning, Mama.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your program. Yeah, hello.
Yes, Stephen. Oh, Stephen, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
No, okay. I'm Eben from calling from Koforidua, Old Estate Junction.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm live watching your program. And you guys are doing very, very well. I love the education that you people are doing now. And I will say congratulations to you guys.
All right. Thank you very much.
Continue to bless you. And then I want to ask that we can even put a number down so that we can get back to the guy who went to the same situation. So that our friends and family also can learn about it.
Okay. All right. Sure.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you, Eben. Aziz is in Cape Coast. Hello, Aziz. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, Aziz.
Please, I want to contribute to what the guy Roger was saying.
Please do.
Yeah, you see, good morning.
Good morning, Aziz. We can hear you, so go ahead, okay?
Okay. The Roger point, the guy was making a lot of fighter points. You see some of the hospitals, psychiatric hospital work. Okay. He's talking about the Dr. Sego. If you look at the Roger program right now, the doctor is not the one who killed Roger, but it was the message that the doctor, psychologist doctor, is giving to Roger. That is what killed him. Some of the psychiatric places we have in the country, there's no psychology doctor.
Do you have a personal experience, Aziz?
Yeah, exactly. You see, the doctor is the one who still let me in this country. When I came to this country.
Hello, Aziz?
Yes, I smoke. Hello.
Okay,
Hello?
Can you say that again? I missed what you said.
Hello, I said I don't smoke. I don't smoke. I don't drink. Hello? Hello?
Okay, I'm afraid, Aziz, we have to let you go. Please turn down the volume on your television set. Otherwise, we will have very uncomfortable feedback and we can have a smooth conversation. Thomas in Kumasi, I hope that your volume is down so we can speak through the phone.
My volume is down.
Okay, great. Good morning. Very clearly, I can hear you. I hope you're well.
Good morning to the doctor and the gentleman over there. I will not call him guy. He is a gentleman. And I tell him, yes, I was wanting to re-smoking, okay? Way back 97, after completion of secondary education. And I went through this re-smoking for about 5 years. But there was a program on the internet that is ivillage.com. There, they help us to quit alcohol and smoking, which really helped me to quit from smoking. But as Dr. the gentleman said, it's not easy when you quit because the feeling is still there. So at times you'll be to go back unless you change your mind that you will not go back. That's what I call determination. It's very important when you want to stop alcohol and re-smoking and others. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Congratulations to you, Thomas. Thank you for sharing. That's Thomas in Kumasi. I think our last caller will be Tony in Mankasim. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning.
Yes, Tony, thank you for reaching out. Talk to us.
Oh, I want to smoke excessive smoking of cigarettes.
Okay.
So, if I may link to go to the internet, so that I can.
When you say excessive, how many sticks can you take in a day?
As much as I can get.
Oh, is it?
As much as I can get.
Okay. What makes you smoke?
Oh, but I think should I say I'm addicted to it? Because I can't concentrate if I can't get.
Okay. But you've got regular, do you have regular work?
Yes, please.
Okay, so you excuse yourself to smoke sometimes?
Okay, when I'm at work, I don't smoke. But as soon as I get home, then I like to flow.
Okay. So what do you want? Do you want to stop? Do you want to reduce it?
I actually want to stop.
You want to stop? Great. Okay. So just to give your contact number to my producer, hang on and give your contact number to my producer. We'll link up with you so we can connect you to Dr. Eugene Dodoy. Well, that's all the calls we can take, unfortunately. We'll see if we can leave some numbers behind. Dr. Dodoy, how important is somebody identifying that this is my problem, this is a condition that I have, but I want to stop? How important is that step?
So it's about the most difficult step to realize that you have a problem. So like I said, it's the first step in the 12 steps. So usually when they have the problem, they are always in denial, and that is a symptom of condition that they don't realize they have lost control over the drug use. And that is where we have a challenge. So it is have lost control, and we should all make an input to help these people, whether we are the employer, we are the family member, we are the friend, or we should engage and help them get support than to claim that they know what they are doing. So we leave them to make a determination when they have suffered probably an irreparable consequence of their addiction. So we should help them before they get there. And it's very important we don't blame them as if it is a moral failing. It's a disease of the brain that we know people are born to have it. So it is just like hypertension and diabetes. People who are born to get it will get it, and we only can help them through it, and we can't do much about it. So it's very important we don't stigmatize, we don't accuse them, and just treat them like we treat somebody with a sickle cell disease or hypertension or diabetes. Great. And I think as a nation, we come to that realization where the West has come into that addiction is a disease. Let's help and treat these people, and possibly help them with insurance as well. Okay, great. Is there a contact number? Is there a number that people can call and get help? Yes, usually the Mental Health Authority puts out contacts, and Narcotic Control Commission is also, a regulator of that space. They provide these services. There are services in Accra. We have House of Hopeful Way Foundation in Oya. We have Willing Way Foundation in Kumasi. Then now we have one up north. We are opening one in Takoradi, I understand. So at all the 3 psychiatric hospitals, Accra Psychiatric Hospital, Pantan Hospital, and Ankara Psychiatric Hospital, all have rehabilitation centers in their facilities. Okay, so people can get help and in all of them. In fact, Narcotic Control Commission has got plans to establish a rehab in every region, and that is the way to go.
Okay.
We've not to see it materialize. So
all right.
Individuals who are helping, like Roger, need to be supported. When I traveled west in the US, in fact, we get churches and group organizations coming to cook for people in recovery, knowing very well that, they are fighting a disease they can't fight alone. And let's not forget, when people are addicted, it affects the whole society. They become counterproductive. They steal from us because they need to maintain their addiction. So they are not working. That's when they engage in robbery and stuff like that. So it is actually in our interest to support them financially, cook food for them. Churches can go to La Roja's place, give them food, donate food to them, to Lydia's place in Kumasi, Willing Way. Donate food to them, help them so that they can take care of the other people who can't afford. Because many people are addicted, they want to quit, they can't afford rehabilitation, they stay sick, and they only have to commit crime to stay addicted, to stay sick. It's quite unfortunate, and you get a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
So any individuals can do. The mental health authority is there.
Okay.
And all of us are around to help.
Okay, great. I'll come to you, Roger, but I think I got some, maybe 3 more minutes to pick some more calls. So if you're watching and you still want to reach out, 0302-211-69102, 0302-211-69102. You can reach out right now. Give us a call now on this conversation. So, Roger, what kind of support would you require? What are your immediate needs?
Oh, thank you so much. All we need money to finish the place very well, to get a few motorbikes, if you like, to support the work here and provide food. If we even have a foundation that is providing the money for already to rehabilitate people, we can find the people to bring them into rehab. Every day they walk in here and they can afford to pay for their bills. So all we need is money to establish well and get the right professionals to support those coming out. If we want us to put our number there, out there, we can also put our number out there for people who want to contact us and have a partnership or discussing with us.
All right, I will come to the number. Let me speak to Ahmed. Ahmed is in Sisala West. Good morning, Ahmed.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Ahmed. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm happy seeing and watching this morning. In fact, may our experts live long to always help rebuild society. May Roger also continue to do his good work. May Allah help him. In the sense that, you see, we have a big problem or bigger problem in our society. Hello?
Yes, Ahmed, we are listening.
Our biggest problem is always start from the house. Sometimes start from the house. I've seen parents smoking with their own children. I've seen them. And there was this time I met a man with 3 of his children. They were smoking weed together. And you hear him saying, Charlie, make you pass me. I've seen women who has given money to their children to buy alcohol and cigarette before they go to farm. And so what do they also do? What would they do to help these people? It's about going to the communities. You see, if we wait for them to come to rehabilitation centers, how many of them even have the mindset that this is the place I have to go? The more you even go to mention it, they are not ready to do it. But when you organize community education forum programs, it will in a way help these people.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Ahmed, thank you very much for sharing your thought. Ramatu is an Adenta. Good morning, Ramatu. Hello, Ramatu, are you there? Okay, unfortunately, I think I lost you there, Ramatu. Roger, you can go ahead and put the number out.
Can get us on 024 22 75 818. 024 22 75 818 or 050 91 25 386. 050 91 25 386.
Okay.
If you give us a call, we have a further.
All right, great. Let me speak to Isaac. Isaac is in Takoradi. Good morning, Isaac.
Hey, please, how are you?
Oh, very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm really enjoying this program. I'm great.
Good.
The man mentioned one Dr. Segu.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Isaac, please turn down the volume on your television set, okay? Let's speak using the phone.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yes, it is. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm very happy to see this program on your TV this morning, and I'm very so happy. The man mentioned one Dr. Segu. If I tell you what Dr. Segu has done for my daughter, it's not only about black people, it's also about children with autistic challenges, hyperactiveness, and my daughter has made tremendous progress. So I just want to thank you people for hosting this program. It's nice, and I encourage all of you to continue to do this.
Okay, what is Dr. Segu's first name, though?
Yeah, Dr. Segu certainly asked me to do certain physical therapies, like teaching her how to brush her teeth, wipe her backside, walk with her to the restaurant. And it's not only about drugs. I mean...
I get it. I wanted his full name, but if we can't get it, I'll find it. I wanted Dr. Segu's full name, but I'll find it. Thank you, Isaac. Let's speak to Divine. Divine is in Aflao. Good morning, Divine.
Yeah, good morning, Mama V.
Yes,
Thanks so
Divine.
much to you and JoyNews for the good work you are doing.
Thank you for sticking with us.
Yes, I want to add my voice. I am a former student of chapter that you are currently hosting. I just want to say that mental health problems will worsen after this pandemic. And if we do not work as a people to end alcohol and drug abuse now, we would have a ripple effect after the COVID-19. The team working on the rehabilitation of these people, there is one thing that we are losing focus on, and that is health workers abusing some drugs because, one, they are closer to these drugs, and they are not living in limelight. So the focus will also be on the health workers and what we can do as Ghanaians to help even people who are on the street. There are others on the street who suffer this drug abuse. They stand in front of that water seller just looking at you. What will it take from you if you give him some of the water? What will it take from you as a Ghanaian to just buy 2 cedi of the water that you are coming to buy just to help him have his daily bread that morning? So let's continue to destigmatize these people. Let us not treat them as, one of those people. Let's treat mental health issues as just like we treat sickle cell, hypertension, and diabetes. And I'm sure that together we can end alcohol and drug abuse. Thank you very much, Mama.
Thank you, Divine. My last caller, Victoria is in Kumasi. Good morning, Victoria.
Good morning. Please, thank you so much for the program you are hosting. I want to thank Lord Ghana, Bolga Branch. Yes, they've done so much for one of our mates. Back in secondary school, Navrongo Secondary School, were mates in 1998. And he has stayed there for just over a month. And when they sent us a picture of him, we could see great improvement in him. We want to thank them so much for the work they are doing and that they should keep it up. My regards to our mate there.
Okay.
If I'm at liberty to mention his name, our regards to him. He's now doing very, very well. We want to thank them so much. Gradually, he's coming out of it. And when we saw the pictures, how he was and how he is now, God bless them.
All right, Victoria. Well, thank you very much for showing your appreciation as well to Roger and his team. Victoria in Kumasi, summing up really as we wrap up. Roger, so Victoria is thanking you for the work that you did for a friend, who's gradually coming out. Unfortunately, Roger is not on, but thank you very much, Roger, for what you do in Bolgatanga. Thanks to Albert Sori, our Upper East Regional Correspondent, for telling us the backstory. Thank you, Dr. Eugene Dodoy, as well. for the education, for the insight as well. Well, we thank you for watching our show. It's a wrap. We will see you Wednesday morning, God willing, at 6 a.m. Please don't be late.